I never thought silence could be this loud. It was the kind of silence that seeped into your bones, demanding you face truths you'd rather bury. And in my case, that truth was printed in black and white on a thin piece of paper, the unmistakable curve of an ultrasound that didn't belong to me, yet somehow held my entire future hostage. I had lived like a shadow in a small town in Ohio, invisible, careful, always avoiding the kind of drama that could blow apart a life. People around me talked about football games, about who kissed who behind the bleachers, about futures with white picket fences. Me? I avoided it all. I knew who I was. I knew what it meant in a place like this. Quiet was safety. Quiet was survival. But then came him. And then came this. The paper trembled between my fingers as I sat on the hood of my beat-up Chevy under the dim glow of the gas station lights. The ultrasound had no business being in my hands. It belonged to His ex-girlfriend. She had pressed it against my chest with eyes that were equal parts fury and desperation. "You should know," she spat, before storming off, leaving me stunned in the thick, sticky summer air. And now all I could think was, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Because the him at the center of this storm was none other than Adam Reynolds. Star quarterback, golden boy, the one person I had promised myself I would never fall for, and yet had already broken that promise 1,000 times over. I remember the first time I kissed him. It wasn't supposed to happen. It was after practice, the field lights buzzing above us. His shoulder pads tossed carelessly onto the grass. He laughed at something dumb I said, his grin wide and reckless in the fading light. And then, without thinking, without giving myself the chance to back out, I leaned in. The kiss was clumsy, charged with panic and adrenaline, but it was real. And when he kissed me back, God, I thought the world might split open. But that was months ago, before Rachel, before secrets started piling up like corpses, before one ultrasound made everything impossible to ignore. I crumpled the paper in my fist and shoved it into my pocket just as I heard his voice. "Luke, you okay?" I looked up. There he was, standing in front of me, sweaty from practice, his shirt clinging to his chest. His hazel eyes flickered with that mix of worry and curiosity that always cut deeper than I wanted to admit. "Yeah," I lied. "Fine." But I wasn't fine. And if Adam noticed the tension in my jaw, or the way my hand tightened around my pocket, he didn't push. That was one of the things about him, knew when to push and when to wait. Later that night, in the privacy of my tiny room, I unfolded the ultrasound again. The little black and white image stared back at me, accusing, heavy with all the things left unsaid. Adam had a future, perfect one if he wanted it. College ball, career, maybe even the American dream with Rachel by his side. And me? I was the mistake that could ruin it all. But what Rachel didn't know, what Adam didn't know, was that I couldn't walk away, not anymore. Because for the first time in my life, someone had seen me, really seen me, and that someone was him. The days that followed were a blur of stolen glances, half-finished conversations, and the kind of tension that pressed down on you like a storm waiting to break. Adam wasn't stupid. He noticed the way I avoided Rachel in the halls, the way my answers got shorter, my smiles tighter. And one evening, when the cicadas screamed in the humid air, he cornered me behind the school gym. "What's going on with you?" he demanded, his voice low but sharp. I swallowed hard, my throat burning. "Nothing. Bullshit." His hand shot out, gripping my arm, pulling me closer. His eyes searched mine, fierce and desperate. "Luke, talk to me." For a second, I almost told him. I almost spilled everything right there, the ultrasound, Rachel's words, the terror clawing at my chest. But then I saw it, clear as day, the weight of it all crashing down on him, shattering the fragile thing we'd built. So I pulled away. "Just leave it, Adam." But he didn't. He never did. The breaking point came a week later. We were at the lake, the one just outside of town where nobody ever went unless they wanted to be alone. He had driven us there, saying he needed air, needed to get away. We sat on the hood of his truck, the stars spilling across the sky like someone had cracked it open just for us. The air smelled like pine and gasoline, and for a moment it was almost easy to forget. Then he turned to me, his expression raw. "I can't keep pretending, Luke. Not with you." My chest ached. "Adam, no. Don't." His voice cracked. "I don't care what people think. I don't care about the team, about my dad, about any of it. You're the only thing that feels real. And if you're gonna push me away, at least tell me why." The words lodged in my throat, heavy and suffocating. I wanted to tell him. God, I wanted to. But the truth wasn't just mine to tell anymore. So I did the only thing I could think of. I kissed him. And in that kiss, all the lies, all the fear, all the broken pieces of me came undone. But the world doesn't stop for love. It never does. The next morning, Rachel found me again. This time, there was no fury in her eyes, only exhaustion. She looked smaller, her voice trembling as she said, "He deserves to know. And if you won't tell him, I will." And just like that, the silence I had built my life around shattered for good. Rachel's words haunted me long after she disappeared into the shadows of the parking lot. He deserves to know. She wasn't wrong. That was the worst part. I hated her for putting the ultrasound in my hands, for dumping the weight of it on me like some twisted act of vengeance. But I hated myself more for being too much of a coward to tell Adam the truth. By the time I got home, my hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my keys trying to unlock the door. The house was dark, silent. Mom was working the late shift at the diner, and the quiet wrapped around me like a suffocating blanket. I pulled the ultrasound from my pocket, smoothed out the creases, and stared at it again. That tiny curve, that shadow of a new lifeite wasn't mine, but somehow it tied me to Adam in a way I never asked for, never wanted. And I couldn't run from it anymore. The next day at school, I avoided Adam. I skipped lunch, ducked out of the hall when I saw him coming, kept my head down like the coward I was. But he wasn't the kind of person you could avoid for long. By last period, he caught me outside the math wing, blocking my path with that stubborn set to his jaw. "You're not leaving until you tell me what's going on." His voice was low, sharp, the kind of tone that sent a shiver through me because it meant he was done playing nice. I tried to sidestep him, but he caught my arm, holding me there. Students streamed past us, but nobody seemed to notice, too wrapped up in their own lives. "Luke," he said, softer this time, his fingers loosening around my sleeve. "You're scaring me. Just talk to me." My throat tightened, my chest ached, and for one insane moment, I thought about blurting everything right there in the middle of the crowded hallway. But I couldn't. Not like this. So I whispered, "Meet me at the lake tonight." His eyes searched mine, and he nodded. The sun had barely dipped below the horizon when I got there. The lake shimmered in the fading light, the water rippling like it knew every secret I was too afraid to say out loud. Adam showed up minutes later, headlights cutting across the dirt road before he killed the engine and climbed out. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there with his hands shoved deep in his pockets, waiting. I swallowed hard and pulled the ultrasound from my jacket. The paper shook in my hand as I held it out to him. He frowned, confused, before taking it. His eyes scanned the image, his expression shifting from confusion to shock, and then something else, something I couldn't name. "Rachel," he said, his voice breaking on her name. I nodded, unable to speak. He stared at the picture for a long moment before lowering it, his eyes locking on mine. "How long have you known?" "A week," I whispered. "And you didn't tell me?" The pain in his voice cut deeper than any blade. I looked away, my chest tight. "I didn't know how." "You didn't know how?" His laugh was sharp, bitter. "Luke, this is my life we're talking about. My kid." The words hung between us, heavier than the humid summer air. My kid. I wanted to tell him that I was terrified, that I didn't want to lose him, didn't want to be shoved aside like some dirty little secret once the world found out. But the words stuck in my throat, strangled by fear. "Adam," I managed, my voice trembling. "I didn't want to lose you." His face softened, just a little, but the storm in his eyes didn't fade. "You think this makes me want to walk away from you? Doesn't it?" My voice cracked. "She's carrying your child, Adam. That changes everything." He stepped closer, so close I could feel the heat of him, the tremor in his chest. "The only thing it changes is that I have to figure out how to be a dad. But it doesn't change how I feel about you." I shook my head, tears burning behind my eyes. "You don't mean that." "Yes, I do." His hand lifted, brushing my jaw with a tenderness that made my heart ache. "You're the one thing in my life that feels right. I'm not letting go of that. Not now. Not ever." And then he kissed me hard, desperate, like he was daring the world to take it all away. But the world always fights back. By Monday, the rumors had already started. Rachel had told someone, maybe not directly, but enough for whispers to spread like wildfire through the halls. I heard my name paired with Adam's in the bathrooms, in the cafeteria, even in the parking lot. By Wednesday, his father showed up at practice. I watched from the bleachers as Mr. Reynolds pulled Adam aside, his face red, his voice loud enough that even the players stopped to stare. Adam stood tall, shoulders squared, but I could see the way his jaw clenched, the way his hands trembled at his sides. Later that night, he came to my window, climbing in like he used to when we were still pretending we were just friends. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice hoarse. "He knows." My stomach dropped. "What did he say?" Adam sank onto my bed, burying his face in his hands. "He said I've ruined everything, that no college will touch me now, that I need to fix this mess before it's too late." I sat beside him, my chest aching, my hand finding his. "And what do you want?" He lifted his head, his eyes shining with something fierce. "I want you, and I want to figure this out, but I don't know how." The weeks that followed were chaos. Rachel refused to speak to me, but she spoke plenty to Adam, cornering him in the parking lot, outside the gym, even at his house. Sometimes he'd come to me afterward, his face pale, his voice shaking, telling me about the fights, the guilt, the impossible choices. And through it all, I stayed. Not because it was easy, but because I couldn't imagine a world without him. Even when the town turned colder, even when whispers turned to stares, even when the future loomed like a storm we couldn't outrun. One night, as autumn crept in and the air turned crisp, Adam and I lay in the bed of his truck by the lake, wrapped in a blanket, our bodies pressed close against the chill. "Do you ever wish we could just leave?" he asked, his voice low, almost lost in the wind. "All the time," I admitted. He turned to me, his face inches from mine, his eyes filled with something raw and unguarded. "Then maybe we should." My breath caught. "Adam, I'm serious," he said. "College, town, family, screw all of it. We could go somewhere nobody knows us. Start over. Just you and me." I wanted to say yes. God, I wanted to. But the ultrasound image still burned in my mind, a reminder of everything that tied him here. "What about the baby?" I asked quietly. His eyes darkened, but he didn't look away. "Then we figure it out. Together." And for the first time in weeks, hope flickered inside me. Fragile, dangerous, but real. That night, as he held me under the blanket, I realized something. The world would never hand us a happy ending. We would have to carve it out ourselves, with bloody hands and broken hearts if we had to. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The night Adam suggested running away, I didn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying his words over and over. Just you and me, somewhere nobody knows us. The thought was intoxicating, almost enough to drown out the reality waiting for us. Almost. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw the ultrasound. That small, grainy image tethered him to this town like an anchor, and I couldn't pretend otherwise. By morning, the fantasy had cracked, and Adam knew it the second he saw me in the hallway at school. His smile faltered, his eyes darkened. He didn't even have to ask. "You're not coming with me," he said flatly. "I want to," I whispered. "But you can't just leave her. You can't leave the baby." The word baby hung in the air between us, heavy and unrelenting. For the first time, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before: fear. Not of his father, not of the town, but of me, of losing me. That weekend, Rachel cornered me outside the library. She looked different, tired, pale, her hands wrapped protectively around her stomach. "You think this is easy for me?" she asked, her voice shaking. I swallowed hard, guilt twisting in my chest. No, her eyes searched mine, full of something raw. "I don't hate you, Luke. I should, but I don't. Because deep down, I think I always knew he wasn't mine." The words hit me like a punch. "Rachel," she shook her head, tears brimming. "He looks at you the way he never looked at me. And maybe that's the worst part. Because no matter how much I scream, no matter how much I fight, I can't make him love me the way he loves you." I didn't know what to say. The truth stuck in my throat, too sharp to speak. She wiped at her eyes, her voice breaking. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let him walk away from this. He's going to be a father, Luke. And you need to decide if you're strong enough to stand beside him when he is. Her words haunted me. That night, Adam climbed through my window again, his hair damp from the shower, his shirt clinging to his chest. He looked exhausted, worn down by everything pressing on him. I sat up in bed, my heart racing. Adam, she's right. He frowned. About what? That you can't walk away. That you shouldn't walk away. This baby, it's yours. He sat at the edge of the bed, his shoulders slumping. Do you think I don't know that? Do you think I don't feel that every second of the day? His voice cracked. I want to do the right thing, Luke. But I don't even know what that means anymore. I reached for his hand, lacing my fingers through his. It means you don't run. It means you stay. For her. For the baby. For me. He looked at me then, eyes burning with something fierce and desperate. And what if staying means I lose you? I squeezed his hand tighter, tears stinging my eyes. Then you fight like hell to make sure you don't. The next few weeks blurred into a haze of tension and whispered conversations. Adam told his father the truth, or at least part of it. He admitted Rachel was pregnant, but left out the part about me. It didn't matter. His father was livid. The yelling was so loud that Adam said even the neighbors came out onto their porches. His dad called him reckless, stupid, selfish. Said he'd thrown away his future. But Adam stood his ground. For the first time, he didn't shrink under his father's shadow. He fought back. And I think that terrified his dad more than the pregnancy did. Meanwhile, Rachel started showing. People noticed. The whispers in the hallways grew sharper, crueler. Adam became the center of every rumor, every sideways glance. And well, I was invisible like always. Only this time the invisibility hurt. Because while Adam bore the weight of the world on his shoulders, I carried the secret of us in silence. Then came the night everything unraveled. It was late October, the air crisp with the promise of winter. Adam and I sat in his truck by the lake, our breath fogging in the cold, the radio playing softly in the background. He turned to me, his jaw tight. I can't keep pretending, Luke. I can't keep lying to everyone about us. My chest tightened. Adam, no, listen to me. His voice was fierce, trembling with conviction. I don't care what they say. I don't care if my dad disowns me. I don't care if the whole damn town turns against us. I'm done hiding. I love you, and I'm not afraid to say it anymore. The words hit me like fire, searing and overwhelming. Tears blurred my vision, but before I could respond, headlights swept across the lake, blinding us. Car pulled up, and when the door opened, Rachel stepped out. Her eyes flicked between us, her face pale, her lips pressed into a thin line. I knew it, she whispered. The silence that followed was suffocating. Rachel, please, Adam started, but she cut him off. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't lie to me anymore. I'm not stupid. I've seen the way you look at him. I've seen the way he looks at you. God, Adam, was I ever anything to you? Adam's face crumpled. You were. You are. But not enough, she finished bitterly. She looked at me then, her eyes burning. And you should have stayed out of it. You should have left him alone. The words stabbed deep, but I didn't flinch. Couldn't, because she wasn't wrong. I'm sorry, I whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. Her shoulders shook, tears spilling down her cheeks. Well, you did. Both of you did. And then she turned and left, the slam of her car door echoing through the night. Adam buried his face in his hands, his body shaking. God, what have we done? I reached for him, but he pulled away, his breath ragged. For the first time, I saw its cracks in him, the weight of it all pressing down so hard it might break him. And I realized then that love wasn't enough. Not on its own. We had a choice to make. And no matter what, someone was going to get hurt. That night, I dreamed of leaving. Of a place where Adam and I could exist without shame, without secrets. But when I woke up, reality was waiting. The town, the whispers, Rachel, the baby, and Adam. Always Adam. The boy who was mine and not mine all at once. The boy who held my heart even as the world tried to tear it from his hands. The weeks after Rachel saw us by the lake felt like living on borrowed time. The whole town seemed to know. The whispers weren't whispers anymore. They were pointed stares in the diner, snide comments in the grocery store, harsh laughter echoing down the school hallways. Adam walked with his head high, but I could see the tightness in his jaw, the exhaustion in his eyes. Rachel stopped talking to both of us. Not a word. Just silence, like we'd both become ghosts in her world. And somehow that hurt worse than her anger. One night, I found Adam sitting on the bleachers at the football field long after practice ended. His helmet sat at his feet, his hands buried in his hair. "Hey!" I said softly, sliding down beside him. He didn't look at me. "They're gonna bench me." I frowned. "Why?" He let out a bitter laugh. "Distraction. That's what coach said. Too much drama. Too many rumors." My chest ached. "Adam, I'm so sorry." He finally turned, his eyes blazing with something fierce. Don't you dare apologize for this for us. If they can't handle me being happy, that's their problem." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But happiness felt so fragile, like it could shatter with the next cruel word, the next judgmental stare. It all came to a head the night of the last home game. The stands were full, the air sharp with the bite of November. Adam wasn't on the field. He was on the sidelines, helmet in hand, his shoulders tense. At halftime, I slipped away from the crowd, found him pacing near the locker room. "Talk to me," I said. He shook his head, jaw tight. "I can't do this anymore, Luke. Pretending, fighting everyone. It's eating me alive." My heart dropped. "What are you saying?" He looked at me then, eyes wet, voice breaking. "I love you. God, I love you so much. But what if love isn't enough?" The words shattered me. I grabbed his face, forcing him to look at me. "Love is enough. It has to be. Because if it's not, then what the hell is all this for?" He kissed me then, right there behind the stadium, where anyone could walk by. It was reckless, desperate, defiant. And for the first time, I didn't care who saw. Rachel found us after the game. She stood by her car, arms folded, eyes red but steady. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just looked at Adam, then at me, like she'd finally made her peace. "We need to talk," she said. The three of us sat in that cold parking lot, the night pressing down on us. "I can't keep fighting you both," Rachel said quietly. "It's killing me, and it's not fair to the baby." Adam swallowed hard. "Rachel, no," she held up a hand. "Let me finish. I know you love him, Adam. I've known for a long time, and I hate it because it means I'll never have what you give him. But I'm done hating you for it." Tears stung my eyes. "Rachel, you love him too," she said, her voice soft but certain. "I can see it. So if you're going to do this, if you're really going to be with him, then you need to be all in. For him. For me. For this baby. Because half of you isn't enough." Adam reached for her hand, his voice raw. "I'll be there. I promise." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Then that has to be enough for me too." From that night on, things didn't magically get easier. The town still whispered. His father still fumed. Rachel still cried sometimes when she thought no one was watching. But something had shifted. We weren't hiding anymore. Adam started walking with me down the halls, our hands brushing just enough to make people look. He sat with me at lunch. He drove me home after school. Little things, small rebellions that added up to something bigger. And slowly the whispers lost their power. The night Rachel went into labor, Adam called me at 2 in the morning. His voice was frantic, shaking. "She's at the hospital. I don't know what to do." I didn't even think. I just got in my car and drove. When I got there, he was pacing the waiting room, his face pale. He grabbed me the second I walked in, holding on like I was the only thing keeping him upright. Hours later, a nurse finally came out. Adam's face crumpled when he heard the words. "It's a girl." We went into the room together. Rachel was exhausted, her face pale but glowing, the tiny baby wrapped in a pink blanket at her chest. Adam froze, his breath catching. Then, slowly, he reached out, touching his daughter's tiny hand. "She's perfect," he whispered. And in that moment, I saw the man he was going to become. Strong, brave, terrified, but ready. Rachel looked at me then, her eyes soft. "You're part of this too, you know?" I shook my head, overwhelmed. "Rachel, no," her voice was firm. "You love him. He loves you. That means you're part of her life too, whether you like it or not. My chest ached, tears burning. I'd like it, I whispered. The first time Adam held his daughter, he cried. Not the quiet kind of tears he always tried to hide. Real tears. Ugly, broken, beautiful tears. I stood beside him, my hand on his back, my heart so full it hurt, and I knew then we were going to be okay. Months passed. Winter melted into spring. The town still looked at us sideways, but it didn't matter anymore. We'd built something stronger than their judgment. Adam balanced football practice with late-night feedings at Rachel's house. I sat with him, sometimes holding the baby so he could sleep for a few hours. Rachel and I grew closer, to not friends exactly, but something like allies. Survivors. One evening, Adam and I walked through town hand in hand. The sky was painted with the colors of sunset, the world quiet around us. Do you ever think about that night? He asked softly. The lake. He nodded. When I told you I wanted to run away. All the time. I smiled faintly. But I'm glad we didn't. Me too, he said. He squeezed my hand tighter, his voice low and certain. Because everything I need is right here. I looked at him, at the boy who had once been my secret and was now my everything. And for the first time, I believed it. Love hadn't saved us. We had saved each other. And that was more than enough. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.